My parents announced they were giving my sister the house. Everyone clapped. I asked, should I read the foreclosure notice dated October 31st? The room froze. My parents were always picking favorites, and my sister was the chosen one. I created my own life, maintained my distance, and attempted to stay out of their mess. But when Thanksgiving rolled around, they decided to make it my problem. Anyway, before I get into what happened at that table, let me start with the beginning. I'm Ethan, a 30-year-old environmental compliance inspector who has worked on major construction projects. I now lived in Chicago and kept my head down and my family at arm's length because my parents were notorious for favoritism growing up. But this Thanksgiving, they did something so out of the ordinary that I'm still processing it. Okay, here we go. 4 weeks before Thanksgiving, Mom called me at work. I was in the process of reviewing soil samples from a highway expansion project in Aurora. I got dirt under my nails and a headache from wearing a dust mask all morning. Environmental compliance inspector didn't sound glamorous until you realized I was the guy who could halt a $25 million project with just one signature. Honey, she started. And I already knew it was going to be bad. She only used the honey voice when she needed something or wanted me to remain silent about something. What is up, Mom? I just want to make sure you're still coming to Thanksgiving and that you'll be nice. I paused and set down the sample bag. What is there to be nice about? Your sister has great news to share. We're all extremely excited for her. I just don't want you to make it about yourself or start anything. There it was. I was the problem before I even walked through the door. I hadn't planned to start anything. Good. Because this is an important moment for Claire and the entire family. We want things to be perfect. Claire, my younger sister, was 27 years old and still lived at home in Neatville. She worked as a receptionist at a dental clinic, earning around $41,000 per year. She drove the car her father bought her. Used Mom's paid-off credit card. She'd never paid rent in her entire life. I will be there, I said. And you'll be glad for her. Sure, Mom. She did not believe me. I could hear it in her silence. But she let it go because she had no choice. I hung up and stared at the phone. This pattern has persisted for 30 years. Claire was praised for showing up. I was interrogated for simply existing. When I was 24 and drowning in student loans, I asked Dad for $6,000. He said no. They said I needed to learn the value of hard work. Claire decided to travel to Europe 18 months later. $9,500 for 4 weeks. Dad paid for the entire thing. If I didn't make a joke, I would shake. My boss, Mitchell, poked his head into my office. Guy was 58. I had been doing this work for 30 years. I've seen every type of family drama there was. You appear to have just received bad news. Things related to the family. He nodded. I didn't press the issue. That is why I liked him. Are you going home for the holidays? Yeah. We need to talk about it. Nah, I'm fine. He looked at me for a second. You're one of the most composed individuals I've ever worked with. Whatever it is, you will handle it correctly. I appreciated it more than he realized. That night I returned to my Lakeview apartment and went through my files. Not work files, but the other one. I've been building them since September. It began with a phone call. Dad. It is September 23rd, 10:15 a.m. I was on site near Joliet, about to crawl under a house to check the foundation drains. Son, I need to speak with you about something important. My stomach sank. Somebody died. Someone is sick. Something is wrong. We need help. Financial assistance. It's Mom. She underwent surgery back in June. Insurance did not cover everything. We're looking at around $24,500 in medical bills. I did not hesitate. I can help. How much do you need? Is that all? $24,500. Could you wire it this week? Something felt off. Mom underwent surgery in June. It was September. Why wait 2 months to ask? I pushed it down. They were my parents. Let me call the hospital. I'll arrange a payment plan directly with them. Silence. The silence was long. We'd prefer cash. We will handle the hospital. That's when I knew. Dad. If there are medical bills, I will pay the hospital, not you. His voice changed. Became defensive. We don't need you to question us. We need assistance. Then allow me to assist properly. Which hospital? He hung up. I sat in my truck for 12 minutes. Then I made a few calls. The 4 major hospitals in the area inquired whether there were any outstanding balances in my parents' names that matched what Dad claimed. Nothing. There are no $24,500 bills in collection or waiting to be paid. So I dug deeper and obtained property records for their house. It cost me $75. Second mortgage. $98,000. 5 months overdue. First mortgage. $59,000 balance. 3 months late. My throat tightened and my hands shook as I sat in my truck, staring at the printout. My father lied about mom's surgery. Lied to get money. He lied because he knew if I found out the truth, I would break the record. I took everything I could legally get my hands on. Obtain loan documents from the county recorder. Marina's record. Dad purchased a 36-foot cabin cruiser. $85,000. A boat. He risked his house for a boat. Claire made a big announcement at Thanksgiving 3 weeks later, using house emojis in her post. They were going to capture her. I started making copies of everything. I have been carrying it ever since. I was on the road by 8 o'clock on Thanksgiving morning. On holidays, traffic out of the city was a mess. It could be 45 minutes or 100. The family group chat lit up. Claire can't wait for everyone to arrive. Today is going to be very special, Mom. Ethan, what time will you be here? Approximately 2. Perfect. Claire's announcement is at 2:30. A performance has been scheduled and choreographed. I arrived in their driveway at 1:58. Aunt Laura's Mercedes was already present. Uncle Mark's pickup. My cousin Emily's Honda. Ryan's parents parked their SUV near the curb. His mother was already inside helping her with appetizers. At least 17 cars in total. The folder was on the passenger seat. I grabbed it, locked the truck and walked up the front steps. Claire opened the door before I knocked. She was dressed in a white sweater dress, her hair was curled and her makeup was flawless. She appeared to be going to a cocktail party rather than a family dinner. You made it, she stated. Not warm, but observational. Traffic was light, so she stepped aside and didn't hug me. We stopped doing this years ago. The house was full. People are everywhere. There's a football game on television. Children running around. That green bean casserole on the counter, which everyone pretended to enjoy. Dad was in the living room with Claire's boyfriend, Ryan. Ryan sold insurance, made around $60,000 per year, drove a leased BMW he couldn't afford, and wore cologne that smelled like a high school locker room. Ethan. Dad got up, came over and did the hug back slap thing. Good to see you, son. His eyes were on mine, trying to figure out if I was going to be a problem. I smiled and gave him nothing. Grandma was in the corner chair, 86 years old and sharper than anyone else in the room. She watched me walk in and gave me a slight nod. She knew something was coming. I could see it on her face. I found a spot at the dining room table, placed the folder on the floor next to my chair, sat down, and waited. People slowly filed in, taking seats and making small talk. Someone asked about the game. Someone else was complaining about gasoline prices. Aunt Laura was discussing her book club drama. Uncle Mark was explaining his new truck's towing capacity to anyone who would listen. Claire sat at the head of the table, the place of honor. Mom's position was to her right. Dad stood to her left. Ryan stands next to Dad, looking nervous. There was another person at the table I didn't recognize. An older woman with a professional appearance. A briefcase sits next to her chair. Who is that? I asked Emily quietly. No idea. She arrived right before you. I was across from Claire. Direct line of sight. She caught my eye and smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. It was a winning smile. Dad stood up and tapped his fork against the wine glass. Chairs squeaked as people moved. Before we eat, I'd like to say a few words about family, gratitude and the blessings we've received this year. Standard speech, which is the same every year with minor variations. We are especially grateful to have everyone here today. And we've got some very exciting news to share. He looked at Claire. She stood up. Ryan stood next to her, but she was the real star here. The entire room was watching. Some people had already taken their phones out. Recording. Waiting for the right moment. Waiting for Ryan's mother smiled too much as if she was trying to be supportive on camera. Claire began speaking, her voice shaking slightly. It's difficult to say whether I'm excited or nervous. Mom and Dad are giving us their house. We'll take over the existing loans, which Dad says are in excellent condition, and begin building equity. No more renting. The room erupted in applause and cheers. Someone whistled. Aunt Laura was crying. My cousins were all smiling and raising their glasses as Uncle Mark shouted, "Congratulations! We will handle everything." Claire's voice grew louder over the noise. The payments, the upkeep, and the fact that we are actually building something. More cheering, more phones emerging. Forks were stopped halfway to the mouth. Dad stood up, raising his hand. And, because the lender requires signatures to complete the transfer and new loan terms, we've hired a mobile closing agent. We're going to handle the paperwork right here and now. The woman at the end of the table stood up, opened her briefcase, and took out a stack of papers. This is Patricia, Dad explained. She does after-hours mobile signings. She is here to oversee the signing and notarization of the documents. Claire, sweetheart, come down here so we can get started. Claire was glowing. She stood up and began walking to the end of the table, where the closing agent was setting up papers. Ryan was filming with his phone. This is amazing. This is actually happening. My chest tightened. My jaw didn't stop twitching. This was it. They were going to do it right here and now. Claire then looked at me directly. The room was still noisy, but she remained focused. Unlike some people who leave and only return home twice a year, I have always been here. I help with the yard. I run errands. I show up. And I believe action should be rewarded. Someone laughed, then immediately regretted it. People were looking at me, waiting for my response. My cousin Emily leaned in toward her boyfriend and whispered something. He looked at me and smiled. Uncle Mark raised his glass to the daughter who remained. To Claire. To whom? Claire. The room echoed. Aunt Laura set down her wine glass and gave me a pitying expression. You are not upset. I mean, your sister will receive the entire inheritance. Should I be? I asked. She gave Claire a glance. I just think some people might be hurt. He's fine, Claire said with a sharp voice. He doesn't need anything from us. He has a big Chicago life. Our cousin Tyler spoke up from the corner. That's cold, dude. You drove for nearly an hour to watch your sister get everything. Tyler, do not start. Someone said. What? I'm just saying what everyone's thinking. Guy moves away, barely visits, and now he's supposed to smile while she gets the house. I took a sip of water, carefully placed the glass down and said nothing. Uncle Mark leaned back in his chair. Chicago made you cold, Ethan. You used to be part of this family. I am a member of this family. Are you in? Claire cut in. Because you think you're better than the rest of us. As if your current situation is insufficient. Someone's younger cousin, maybe 16, leaned across the table holding his phone. I pushed it close to my face. Get his reaction. This is gold. I did not move. Didn't blink. I looked straight at the camera. Make sure you understand my positive side. It's the only one that appears here. Uncle Mark laughed. Sharp. Mean. Look at him. Ice cold. Nothing bothers the big city guy. A younger cousin spoke up. Could we just eat? This is awkward. It's not awkward, Claire explained. Ethan is simply being Ethan, Mom said quickly. Ethan understands. He has always been the strong one. Aunt Laura looked at me strangely now. But, Robert, this seems like a lot to give to a single child. Claire earned it, Dad insisted firmly. She stayed. Ethan made his decisions. Claire demanded that they say congratulations. Like you mean it. Do not just sit there judging us. A phone kept recording, with a small red dot glowing. Smile, Ethan, Mom said. Sweet voice with steel underneath. Claire remained standing, papers in the closing agent's hand, pen ready. I set down my glass. That's very generous. Congratulations. Claire blinked. Smile as if you mean it. I am smiling. This is simply my expression as I watch a train crash into a wall. Aunt Laura touched my arm. Are you really okay with this? Should I be upset? I mean, it's also your family home. Claire snapped. He left it. You do not have the right to leave and complain when someone else takes what you left behind. Tyler grumbled. That's harsh. It's true. He's too good for Neatville. Too good for family dinners. Too good for Sunday visits. Actions have consequences. I didn't leave. I received the reward. The closing agent cleared her throat. To be clear, these signature lines establish you as new borrowers on the loans. If we're going to do this, let's get started. Dad nodded and gestured toward Claire. Claire took a step towards the closing agent. I looked at Dad. He was pale with white knuckles and a firm grip on his chair. Hey Dad, I said. We can do this privately. Walk with me. He was frozen. No. Claire replied immediately. We're doing this right in front of everyone. You don't get to take him aside and poison it. Mom's face became tight. Ethan, please don't ruin this. I offered to not ruin it privately. There's nothing to discuss, Dad said. The voice shook. Claire walked back toward the closing agent. Simply ignore him. He's trying to make this about himself, as he always does. Last chance, I said quietly. For what? Claire snapped. So what could you possibly say? I reached down and picked up the folder. Okay. Then let's do it here. Dad's face was drained. Every drop of color is gone. Mom's hand began shaking so violently that she had to put down her wine glass. Ethan, Dad said. His voice seemed strangled. Not now. Not now? I opened the folder. When would be better? After she signs. What signs? Ryan asked. I pulled out the first document. Foreclosure notice. Large red letters. The case number is printed at the top. Placed it in the center of the table, directly on the turkey platter. The notice of default, I stated. Filed on October 31st. There have been 5 months of missed payments on the second mortgage. 3 months for the first. Claire stared at the document. What's that? I took out another page. The actual foreclosure filing. Timeline amounts. To avoid foreclosure, the bank requests a reinstatement payment of $29,000 by mid-December. Following that, the combined monthly payment is approximately $3,100. That is before utilities, property taxes, insurance, and repairs. That is not true, Mom started. Call the bank. Ask what is required to reinstate the loan at this address, or look up the foreclosure filing. The case number is right at the top. This is a public record. Nobody moved. The closing agent was packing her briefcase. Stood up. I cannot proceed while the parties are arguing the terms and there is visible coercion. If you want to proceed, reschedule with the lender. She walked out quickly. I looked around the table at everyone's faces. The phone is recording. So here's my question. Do you want the truth or a performance? Someone's phone kept recording. The little red dot is glowing. I can walk out, let you sign, and let you know when the reinstatement deadline arrives, but you can't come up with $29,000, or I'll tell you now. Claire was moving toward me. You're lying because you can't stand how happy I am. She was standing over me and pointing. Her voice was loud and she slammed her hand on the table. Silverware jumped, knocking over a wine glass. Red wine splattered across the white tablecloth. Wine had bled into the corner of the paperwork. I took the folder back. Sit down, I said flatly, quietly. Something in my voice changed when she stopped talking. She remained standing but did not move closer. I took out more papers, including the recorded mortgage document, the tax lien notice, and my own text to Dad. You're not giving her the house free and clear, I said. You're only giving her debt, mortgage and escrow. Approximately $36,000 per year, not including what breaks. Not including what the county has already filed liens for. Aunt Laura picked up one of the papers. Read it with wide eyes. Robert, this is real. Where did you get this? Dad's voice. The county recorder's office, public records. $75. Ryan was backing away. Wait, Claire. You mentioned that the loans were current and manageable. You did not mention anything about default or reinstatement. They are current. Claire stammered, looking at Dad. Right? You mentioned that the loans were in great shape. You said we only needed to sign the transfer. Dad could not speak. Uncle Mark picked up the foreclosure notice. Make a hard face. This means they are months behind. Final notice. Mom whispered. That cannot be right. It is dated October 31st. Claire earns $41,000. I mentioned Ryan's salary of $60. The total take-home pay could be around $74. You would spend half of your income just to keep the house. There's nothing left for a wedding, savings, or emergencies. Emily's mouth was open. They planned to trick her. They were going to trap her, I explained. Ryan's face was red. You told me the house was in good condition. You stated that we would be building equity, not digging out a foreclosure. We thought we'd catch up, Dad said weakly. Based on what? I asked. What has changed? What made you suddenly believe you could handle debt that you had been defaulting on for months? Silence. Ryan was grabbing his coat. I'm out. I am done with this. Ryan, please wait. Claire chased him to the door, her heels clicking on the hardwood. Baby, please. We can figure it out. We can. The front door slammed. His parents followed him out and raised their voices in the driveway. She returned 40 seconds later, mascara running and lipstick smudged. You did it. You've ruined everything. I didn't ruin anything, I explained. I read it aloud. They needed help. You should have helped them. I tried. They refused. Ryan's parents walked back in. His mother's face was hard. He will not speak to us. He says he needs space. She turned to face Mom and Dad. Were you going to do this to our son? We assumed they'd figure it out, Mom said weakly. How do you calculate foreclosure and marital debt? Grandmother spoke for the first time. Her voice broke through the chaos. What exactly do you mean when you say they refused? Everyone stopped and looked at me. I pulled out my phone and opened the call log. On September 23, Dad called and told me that Mom had surgery, $24,500 in medical bills. They asked me to wire the money. I showed the screen to others nearby. Date, time, and duration of call. I immediately agreed. I said I'd call the hospital and arrange a payment plan. He said no. They wanted money. That's when I realized something was wrong. I looked at Mom. I called the hospitals. Asked if there were any outstanding balances in my parents' names that matched what Dad claimed. Nobody had bills like those. Nothing recent that fits. Mom's face wrinkled. That's when I pulled the property records, discovered the mortgages, missed payments, and foreclosure timeline. Claire said, "You should have given him the money anyway. What will you spend it on?" "Additional boat maintenance." Uncle Mark's head snapped upward. "Boat." I took out another document. Boat registration at the marina. 36-foot cabin cruiser. March, 2021. $85,000. The room became nuclear. Uncle Mark is standing. Aunt Laura yells. Emily shook her head. "You purchased a boat." Uncle Mark's voice was powerful enough to strip paint. "We thought we could afford it," Dad whispered. Grandma stood, the chair scraped. Everyone became quiet. "How long have you been hiding this?" Dad finally said it had been 18 months. "Instead of asking for help, you chose to lie to your children." "We were desperate," Mom protested. Emily admitted she was desperate enough to lie on loan documents. "If they misrepresented the transfer to the lender, that constitutes fraud." "You tried this on Ethan first, didn't you?" Aunt Laura inquired. I nodded. On May 11th I was asked to co-sign. They called it a refinance. Just a formality. "Have you signed?" Uncle Mark asked. "Almost." I told them I wanted my lawyer to review it first. I took out another document. I received an email from my lawyer. Subject: Don't sign. She told me that if I signed, I would be legally responsible for $155,000. That's when I began digging. Claire turned to me and pointed. "This is entirely your fault. I am not ruining anything. I'm reading it aloud. You were never the important one." She hissed with venom. "You were never good enough, and you can't accept that I finally won." The room became silent. That was the line. The one you do not return from. My hands clenched into fists beneath the table. "Hold it. Simply hold it." Emily's jaw dropped. Aunt Laura appeared horrified. I simply looked at her. Did not react. "Noted," I said quietly. The argument restarted, this time louder. Phones out taking pictures. I stood up. Claire looked at me, her face a complete mess. "How long have you known?" "Since September." "Why haven't you told me?" "I tried 3 times. You were always with them. They made certain I couldn't get you alone. You could have tried harder." "I'm trying now." She laughed, breaking the glass. "By humiliating me and keeping you from signing away your life." I grabbed my coat. "You are welcome." Grandmother stood up. Her chair scraped. Everyone became quiet again. "Robert, please give me the boat keys." Dad blinked. "What?" "I am currently in possession of the boat keys. You are not paying slip fees for another month while my grandchildren are on the verge of debt. Now. Keys now. Or I'll call the marina and have it impounded." Dad fumbled in his pocket, pulled out a keychain and handed it to her. She pocketed it, then took out her phone and began dialing. "Who are you calling?" Mom asked, her voice small. "My lawyer. We are changing my estate plan tonight. Everything is split equally between Ethan and Claire. You won't get anything until you've proven you're trustworthy." She took the phone to her ear and walked into the other room. Uncle Mark spoke up. "That boat will be listed tomorrow. I know a guy who does marine sales. We will get whatever we can out of it." "You can't," Dad began. "Pay attention to me." I walked towards the door. Aunt Laura stopped me and placed a hand on my arm. "Most of us witnessed it. How they treated you differed from Claire. We didn't say anything. I apologize for that." I nodded. I didn't know what else to do with that information. "You did the right thing," she said quietly. "It doesn't feel like it. It never does." I walked out. I didn't look back. My phone lit up before I got to my truck. Emily sent a text. Aunt Laura called the cops. Thinks there may be elder abuse or fraud. This is going to get bigger. I sat there for 12 minutes, just breathing and looking at the house through the windshield. Then I started the car and headed back to Chicago. 3 weeks after Thanksgiving, I received a call from Detective Reynolds of DuPage County. We met in a coffee shop. She was in her mid-40s and worked professionally. I took notes in an actual notebook. Thank you for meeting. Not a problem. You are not in trouble. We are looking into your parents. There may be issues with loan misrepresentation. I walked her through everything. September call, timeline, and documents. She took notes and flipped through the pages, raising her eyebrows. Your parents claim you managed their finances and advised them on the property transfer. I pulled out my phone and showed her the texts. This is where he asked for money. I offered to pay the hospital. He refused. That is it. I never accessed their accounts. She took a photograph of the screen. So they appear to be shifting liability. Do you have evidence that you were not involved? 3 years of no contact with their bank. No joint accounts. No power of attorney. And my lawyer's documentation from when they attempted to get me to co-sign in May. She flipped back through the notes. Your sister mentioned that they pushed hard for a spring wedding. April, specifically. They scheduled the date before Ryan proposed. Mom chose the venue. April would have been 7 months after the property transfer, exactly when payments were due. If your sister and fiancé were married and lived there, they would expect his income to cover the costs without telling him what he was getting into. This is the fraud angle we're looking at. If the borrowers or lender falsified occupancy or intent, they would be making a misrepresentation to both parties. What do you need from me? If it goes to court, the testimony will be truthful, which is unlikely. Most of these settle. I will tell the truth. That is all I have been doing. She closed the notebook. You rescued your sister from years of financial ruin. Most people do not have anyone willing to blow up Thanksgiving to protect them. I just read the paperwork. She smiled at this. I will be in touch. Dad arrived at my office 4 days later. Mitchell summoned me in. Your father says there is a family emergency. Dad was there looking tiny. Dad said, we need to talk. Mitchell was studying the room. Take the day if you need it. I'm good. This will happen quickly. We went outside. The wind was cold. This needs to be fixed. The detective is taking documents. They're claiming fraud. That is not my problem. We are family. You do not do this to your family. You attempted to trap your daughter in debt she could not afford. What would you call that? We were desperate. Then you should have asked for assistance. Honestly, he grabbed my arm. You can make this go away. Tell them there was a misunderstanding. I looked at his hand on my arm and then back at his face. He let go. I am not lying for you. Whatever happens right now is what you earn. She's falling apart. Your sister is not eating, sleeping, or taking medication. Because she nearly signed away her life. Or because Ryan left. Both. Then she should thank me. Ethan. Please stop contacting my workplace. Stop showing up here. If you need anything, please text me. I'll decide whether to respond. I walked back inside. Mitchell was waiting. You okay? Yeah. Things related to the family. He nodded. You handled it well. By mid-December, the foreclosure was underway. Claire texted. I met with a therapist. She claims I was conditioned to accept manipulation. That I confused favoritism for love. It's better to figure it out now than never. Can we talk when you're ready? Christmas. I did not go home. Emily shared a photo from Grandma's. Small dinner. Caption. New tradition. You've been invited for next year. Grandma called that night. Claire is staying with me. Therapy is helping. Your parents declared bankruptcy. Tell her I'll be here when she's ready. February. Dad sent angry texts. I sent one back. Stop contacting my workplace. Further contact will be recorded as harassment. I then blocked his number. Mitchell informed me that I was up for promotion in April. Life moved forward. February 12th. Claire texted. Can we meet? Coffee. We met at Neatville. She got there first. Looked better and healthier. Hey. She said. Hey. There was awkward silence. I am sorry about Thanksgiving, for what I said, for believing them instead of you. You didn't know. I should have questioned it. I wanted the fantasy so bad. How are you today? Better to live with Grandma. Figuring out who I am beyond being Dad's favorite. She laughed. It turns out that being the favorite equals being the most useful. Noah, I've started seeing someone. He is a paramedic. I told him everything. He did not run. That is good. I miss having a brother. I'm still your brother. She began crying. I do not deserve that. Probably not, but you'll get it anyway. We talked for an hour about favoritism, patterns, and how I was expected to handle things while she received protection. They have been paying my car payment for a year. I didn't know that specifically, but it does track. I thought I deserved it. It turned out I was just easier to control. They were unable to control me. That's why they went after you. Do you despise them? No. But I don't trust them. And I don't owe them my destruction. Grandma is changing her will. We'll split everything equally between us. Dad receives nothing until he proves his trustworthiness. Good. We left. Stood in the parking lot. A cold February wind. May I hug you? Yeah. She hugged me tightly. Thank you for saving me, even if I despised you for it. You are welcome. Can we try this again? Yeah. Call me at any time. April brought the promotion. Mitchell summoned me in. Senior inspector receives 14% raise. You've earned it. Thanks. You've changed this year. More focused. It's obvious what you've been going through. Spring arrived. I was working on a project in Oak Park when my mother called. Ethan. Her voice was tiny. We need to talk about your father, and I've been in counseling. We'd like to apologize. I really apologize. Okay. Can we see you face to face? Why? We owe you that. Because we were wrong. I thought about it. I will think about it. Please. Your father looks different now. I will think about it. I hung up that night. I called Grandma. Mom wants to meet. They say they've been in counseling. Yes, they have. I have been paying for it. Condition of assisting them. Do you believe they have changed? A long pause. I believe they're scared. Not the same as changed. Should I meet with them? It's your decision. But if you do, make sure they earn it. Thank you, Grandma. I did not meet with them. Did not respond to Mom's texts. I maintained the boundary. May 22nd, 7 months following Thanksgiving. Claire sent a text. This weekend we're having family dinner at Grandma's. She wants everyone present, including you. Including them. Says it's time. I am not interested. Claire. I knew. But Grandma inquired. And she's 86. For her? I will think about it. 4 days later. I'll come. But I'll leave if things don't work out. Claire. Fair. Saturday afternoon. Grandmother's house. I was the last to arrive. I parked and sat down, wondering if it was worth it. Then I got out. Grandmother opened the door. You arrived. You asked. Thank you. She hugged me. Keep an open mind. But do not accept any garbage. I walked inside. The living room was set up like a mediation. Grandma's chair is at the head. Claire was sitting with Noah. Emily was next to her boyfriend. Uncle Mark and Aunt Laura sit on the other couch. And Mom and Dad on the love seat, looking smaller and older. Dad had lost weight. They looked up as I walked in. Dad began to stand. Sit down, Grandmother said. Not loud, but firm. He sat. I chose the chair farthest from them. Grandma sat next to Claire. We're here because this family is broken. Broken items are either repaired or thrown away. I'm too old to abandon my family, so we're fixing it. Nobody spoke. Robert, Susan, you have something to say. Say them. Dad cleared his throat with a shaky voice. Ethan, we owe you an apology. A real one. I waited. We tried to use you but you wouldn't let us. We attempted to use your sister. We transfer our problems to our children. That was incorrect. Mom cried. We were drowning. Debt, house and boat. Rather than asking for assistance, we attempted to manipulate you both. We've been in counseling for 7 months, Dad explained. Working out why. The stress, shame and fear of admitting failure. We filed for bankruptcy. Chapter 13. Everything is gone. We are starting over with nothing. And that is what we deserved. Mom added. You did not do this to us. We did it to ourselves. Silence. Grandma looked at me. Do you have anything to say? I took a breath. You did not just try to use me. You tried to destroy me, and when I refused, you moved on to Claire. You would have let her drown to avoid the consequences, Dad said, crying. You called my job. Showed up at my workplace. Tried to frame me as unstable. Made me the villain for telling the truth. I know, my dad admitted. So no. I do not accept your apology. Not yet. Mom's face wrinkled. What do we need to do? Prove it through your actions. Make amends. Create something real. How long? However long it takes. I do not owe you a timetable. Claire spoke up. They've tried. Therapy. Being open about favoritism, using me and treating you as expendable. That does not undo what they did. No. But it is a start. I looked at my parents. Really looked at them. They were broken. Not performing. Just broke. You wanted the image more than your children. Now you don't have either. So. What are you planning to do? Mom wiped her eyes. Whatever it takes. No matter how long. We simply want our children back. You cannot have us back the way we were. That is no longer viable. But perhaps you can try something new. Grandma spoke. I've altered my will. Everything is split evenly between Ethan and Claire. Nothing goes to Robert until he proves he is trustworthy. Dad did not argue, simply nodded. And if Ethan says he is leaving, no one follows him. Nobody argues. Nobody guilt trips him. Anyone who violates that has to answer to me. Dad spoke quietly. I stood up. I am leaving now. This was sufficient. Claire also stood. Can I walk you out? Yeah. We walked to the door and stepped out. The evening air was warm. Thank you for coming, she said. This is for Grandma, not them. I understand, but still. It mattered. Are you okay? Getting there. Noah has been good to me. Therapy is helping. I'm discovering who I am when I'm not performing. Good. Are we all right? We are getting there. She hugged me. I love you. Even though I despised you, I loved you. I love you too. I walked to my truck, got inside and sat for a minute. My phone vibrated. Dad sent a text. Thank you for listening. I know I do not deserve it. I'll spend the rest of my life regaining your trust if that's even possible. I read it. Did not respond. Put down the phone. Started the car. And drove home. 7 months ago, I blew up my family to save my sister. Today, I sat in a room filled with wreckage. The truth did not solve everything, but it cleared the way. I pulled into my parking spot and walked up to my apartment, which was a small one-bedroom, nothing fancy but mine. Inside, I poured a drink, sat on the couch, and my phone buzzed. Claire, Noah would like to meet you officially. Have dinner sometime. Yeah. Name the day. That tie will take place in Lincoln Park next Friday. It works for me. I put the phone down. Tomorrow I have a site inspection in Evanston. Following that, dinner with Claire and Noah. Nearly 2 years later, I was celebrating Grandma's 88th birthday. A small gathering. Claire and Noah, Emily with her boyfriend, Uncle Mark, and Aunt Laura. Claire seemed different now, sharper and more grounded. She moved out of Grandma's house in June, got her own apartment in Downers Grove, paid her own bills, and lived her own life. I told her, you look good. Feel good. Noah and I are talking about getting engaged. This time actual planning will take place, rather than following someone else's timeline. That is good. Dad reached out last week and asked if we could meet. What have you said? Perhaps someday when I'm ready. She stared at me. You're the same. We were not repaired, but we were not broken in the same way. Mom and Dad were staying in a rental in Plainfield. Dad worked in a hardware store. Mom did bookkeeping for a church. They were slowly rebuilding without the boat and without the lies. Grandma called us to the table. Cake time. My phone buzzed while we were singing. Unknown number. I ignored it. After cake I checked. Dad left a voicemail. Ethan, I just wanted to say happy birthday to your grandmother. I know we aren't invited. That is fair. I just wanted you to know that we are thinking about you both and the family. We are working on it. That is all. I hope you're doing well. I've saved it. I did not delete. Did not respond. Perhaps someday. Not today. I took my phone and walked back inside. Claire was laughing at something Noah had said. Grandma was cutting second slices for anyone who requested them. This is right here. This was sufficient. I took another slice of cake and sat down. Forward. Not backward. Only forward.